Perhaps you might think I'm a mean person, or why should you be listening to an introvert like myself? I've been collecting such stories for 30 years, and I've been a manager for 3 years. So basically, my stories always have a certain item, and that is NDA. So all my stories are under NDA, and I don't think I can tell you anything without NDA. So this is it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Kidding. Of course I'm kidding. So there's a loophole. Just let's imagine that whatever I'm going to tell you is just a fiction, and everything is coincidental and happened not to me. It happened to our main hero, central character, Ahmed. Ahmed is a young tester. He is craving to change the world. He is hot-tempered, and he wants to change and want the world to change. Ahmed had some peculiarities, and the first is reflection. He reflects on every event in his life. He reflects on what happened to him. He reflects where it came from and what it leads to. So basically, he gives a plus or a minus to every event. And he has flags. Green flag, I think you understand. Green flag is good. Red flag is not so good. And this could be neutral, but still, let's not talk so much about Ahmed. We will know more of him soon. So his first experience came with his first company, and now he is spreading his experience. He read a crazy number of books and went through a crazy number of courses. And now he's ready to join his first company to be a star in. His first company is Borzum Inc. Of course, this is a fictitious name, it doesn't exist. Let's talk about Borzum Inc. So this is a standard large-scale company. It's been around for so long, so when it was created, the only thing I worried and Ahmed worried about that we were watching cartoons back then on TV. We were kids. So now they know their target audience and they know where they're going. Processes are hierarchical, and we're all very small people that need to climb up the hierarchical ladder. Every novelty has to be approved by many, many people, go through a whole hell of approvals. All instructions have to be written. This is very complicated. People who work for Borzum Inc. usually are there because they are physically there. They don't have any ideas, they don't want to develop. They want to work till their retirement there, and they're not asking questions. They don't want to raise some flags, so they are waiting for their retirement to come. Now, Ahmed flag system. Company wants to be fashionable, wants to be in fashion, wants to be trendy, because they expect an exodus of people soon. Many people will soon retire. Ahmed has worked for this company for quite a while, and he identified key elements. Why Ahmed joined this company? First, this is a global company. This is such a huge company. It affects not only the people who work for this company, but also it affects all the people in the country and people worldwide. So he wanted to become part of it. and wanted to influence the world. Next advantage, new skills. New skills he was looking for in those companies. Old technologies, but still, we all understand very well that new technologies are based on the old technologies. If you study the old technologies, you will understand the future better. This is all that for advantages. There are disadvantages. Short deadlines is the first disadvantage. An interesting feature. So sometimes the deadlines were so short and so many tasks that were given. It was impossible without overtime. And that was the key problem. The next problem was metrics. Metrics existed for everything. Metrics, how much you breathe, perhaps. And also, the team he was working for also had metrics, some after tests, and then some manual input. But the test coverage was the metric. How many tests you do, that shows your performance. Then the next disadvantage, lack of attention to the product details. The previous items made people look at the product very quickly, and they had metrics. They didn't have time, so they quickly get a task and they quickly test it, and this is it, monkey testing. Now the last disadvantage was auto tests. 150,000 auto tests. Some companies just don't have it. So those 150,000 auto tests helped identify only 2 global issues. But they were running for 12 hours and they didn't find anything. Testers found 1 or 12 or 20 issues with every release. Ahmed sees a problem and immediately starts to solve it. This is in his DNA. See, he would have a plan. Now he decided to address all the issues. He had to fight the first 2 with the help of managers. So he approached a manager and wanted to talk to him and tell him why this is not good. He had the long conversation. It was a tense conversation. The manager did not like Ahmed, but he said, "Who are you? Why do you think you can influence the process so much?" 2 new problems arose. This cannot be changed. And then Ahmed did not give in. He thought he could fight monkey testing. He wanted to work with the developers. He came to see them on a weekly meeting where they discussed what has been done, when they have the tossing ideas around. And so from the testing side, he was telling them what testing was about, described the process of testing. They were shocked. They never knew that there were testers in companies. So it was a problem. Problem went to those meetings for about a month, and finally they said, "We don't want to see you. We don't want to see you because meetings are so long and it doesn't help." So that's what they thought. Another problem. Now we have the last thing. Sorry for the spoiler. He wanted to work with auto tests, so he talked to people who wrote auto tests.
He decided to work with them and ask them questions about how tests are done and written, how they verify products, and why things are the way they are. So he brought those problems right as he entered the room, and auto testers came back asking him, "Why are you asking us all those questions? Who are you?" So they got offended by those questions. Another problem. At this stage, many of us must have quit because there are problems across the board. It's unlivable environment. But Ahmed is a different kind of guy. Behind those failures, he saw little wins sticking out. He couldn't get his hand on short deadlines or metrics, but he found developers who were easy to communicate with, plus he had a repository that he himself could use. Moving on, Ahmed got really frustrated and upset, but he had a couple of ideas to move on with. What were those ideas? Ahmed decided to start with himself. By doing what? Now, each task coming to the testers team was worked through with as much detail and granularity as possible, using his connections with developers. This was both a benefit and a disadvantage because it slowed down the process, and the manager would start yelling at him. "How come you're so slow? Maybe just sign your walking papers." Next thing Ahmed decided to address was to go deeper with developers, to make sure so that they help him test the product, meaning making sure that the product is more testable. Things were panning out quite well, and when he was on yet another course, he caught a video from our Indian fellows where they described OSM. It's a simple tool used by the company, but apparently you could write auto tests using it. So now each task he got, he was using it, and initial results showed that testing can be done much faster without downgrading its quality. As time went on, Ahmed adhered to his strategy. He kept on working, arguing with his peers, making sure that his ideas are gaining more and more traction. The company is a special one. Every year, it organizes a meeting to represent its achievements and successes. This is the number of features we produce. Our metrics are wonderful or not. And there's always a little bit of reception, which looks like this. People get together, there is a party, everyone is smiling, keep on trucking. Now this party, was about showing something with real value. And how did the year finish? Testers have now been approached not only at the end of the sprint, but also analysts started visiting testers. Secondly, developers who couldn't wrap their minds around enormous systems, and only top-tier testers could make a sense of those systems, and other results followed. Bug stats got a boost by 30%. This is a performance result which has been sought for for a couple of years, and only now it became a reality. A next win for Ahmed was that testers modified the metrics for the better, helping hunt more bugs. Of course, it was done without consultation with the others. But let's not forget about shortcomings. Testers used to be second-level analysts. Now analysts couldn't see eye to eye with the testers. They couldn't understand each other. So did this company need a hero? Of course they did. But that hero needed to show what he has, what values he would bring to the company. A little bit later, Ahmed joined the labor market. He tried a few companies until finally he settled on Chelsea Green IT company, a startup which quickly started making millions. He was on constant search for big money. Processes in that company were quite confusing. They did not generate profit, and nobody had any sense in working hard. The employees were exhausted. They were so tired in this race, they couldn't look, or they didn't want to look for any other job opportunities. They were boxed in. Why did Ahmed join this company? Because he had affection and he took to CEO of that company. He had a burning heart. He wanted to convert all minuses into pluses so that money start flooding in. A next plus was bigger wiggle room, more freedom to act. Ahmed was now ready to develop auto testing or framework, and that's why he was hired. Plus, he could do processes as well out of enthusiasm. In the minus column, according to Ahmed, no time left for anything else but work. There's always a pressure from deadlines, heavy staff turnover, hardly have novices been provided training, they would immediately leave. There was kind of hazing in that company. Ahmed was regarded as a person from the crowd, someone who popped in and would just quickly pop out. And processes, which was a real mess and disarray. Ahmed had given it a bit of thought and decided to tackle processes as well. Now, every time he starts with a task, he works on its related processes. He does everything, so next time, not much time is needed to get familiar with the task. So first task comes in, he immediately starts configuring processes. All seemed well. But soon enough, he would be told that this is no good and needs to be put in a trash bucket. Ahmed moves on into another cycle, which seemed to become vicious and endless. Every time Ahmed did something, it ended up in the wasteland. So Ahmed got tired. he became introspective and decided that this could continue no further. He paid a visit to the CEO for a long chat. The CEO tried to persuade him to stay, but Ahmed was unrelenting in his decision to leave the company. But he decided to help the company with entering into arrangements or agreements that we would have people who would only stick to specific tasks until job is done and then move on. Plus, Ahmed will help with adapting a new employee. The company was then ready for a new QA lead, which would put company in his firm hands. But the end of the story is not that great. Now let's jump a little bit ahead, 4 months into this story. 4 months after being hired, the new QA lead had to quit over the same reasons. So this company really need a hero. Yes, they did, but the company wasn't prepared for it. It's important for a company to be prepared for major changes that will follow. Only then would this decision pay off. I love the segue into the next company. It's gonna sound fancy. Life is a market where experience and expertise is sold. Our time is money. We can congratulate Ahmed with new acquisition, Slayer Interactive, a small-time company. Yesterday's startup begins to move into new direction. Processes take shape in that company. Everybody tries to support those processes, creating new arrangements. A company is a big family. People visit each other's christenings, each other's children's christenings, but they don't get married. Zero toxicity. So Ahmed worked in that company and identified a few positive developments. He was particularly well inclined toward a technical director. Next plus was again freedom to act. You could do anything you wanted to do, which was Ahmed's speed. Next plus, at any moment you could call a developer and go for a couple of beers outside. There were also minuses. You can only speak well about products. No bad feedback. Also, they thought that old is always better than new. If we see that something is working well, we will not change it. There were some staff members who were untouchables. You could never argue with them or take issue with them, or they would run to the boss who would give you a heave-ho. So we all know Ahmed by now, and we know here that he's an action person. Jumping a bit ahead, I'm going to say that he failed at everything he was trying. He realized that he was the fifth wheel. Imagine you're 10 years old and family party was announced for older people. Just imagine how you would feel. So at some point, he was called. He was called into the technical director, who said, "I think it's time we part our ways." He started saying weird stuff, something about soft development. But Ahmed was a technical guy, so he considered this situation for a while. But since he was young, he thought, why not give it a shot?
So the first thing he thought he could do is just be easy. If someone wants help from you, give a helping hand. Help him anyway, even if he's not asking. So he was easier and easier going. Now he could rethink the situation. There were people around. People are not robots. People have characters, and that has to be dealt with. Like DevOps, who is into beer. He's never available Friday night. Or another developer who has 6 children, and he always has a sleeping problem. And he is a tech guy, and he came up with a quality chart. And that describes every member of the team. And before talking to that guy, he would look him up in the chart, and it paid off. It paid off, and as time progressed, Ahmed had to leave because there was no reporting, but he thought he should leave the company. Now what do we have here? He became a backlog driver. Many tasks as a result were initiated by Ahmed. Also, they dug up the old bugs. Thanks to Ahmed talking to team members, he could find the bugs with the help of others, and it paid off. Now, he was quite multifunctional. Why would he care about DevOps? He was talking to DevOps, so he was talking to developers, to analytics, to design, and this affected the good product statistics. It was now looking up capitalization, user number, and number of agents, and so on. But there were disadvantages now. Staff turnover. Many guys couldn't cope with this new life, and they were leaving. So the family was breaking into pieces. Now, did this company need a hero? Perhaps they didn't. They needed an anti-hero, someone who would maintain all those problems and could find the approach to get this message across to the team. Now it worked. Let's summarize, because I'm finishing. The first company needed a company, the first company needed a hero, and it worked. Second company, it didn't work. Well, he doesn't know anything about it. Company wasn't ready. And the last company, they needed a Slayer, interactive and negative anti-hero. But did Ahmed need those companies? You have to be yourself. And also you have to know how to change. And you need to understand, if you're changing, you need to understand, is it for the better or for the worse? So you need to reflect on what is happening to understand how long it's going to stay with you. It's important to understand that work is a can of pickles. We show up a cucumber and we go back home a pickled cucumber. How about being a pepper? Then you add some pepper to the entire canned vegetables. Let's say goodbye to Ahmed, and that would be it for me. Questions, please. Thank you very much. Explain, please. 3 patterns. Hero, Slayer Interactive. How can we know where we stand, which group we belong to? Important is whether the company needs changes. So a company is ready for changes. You need to try and introduce the first changes. In 90% of cases, it's going to be a failure. And then you need to understand why the failure has occurred and what happened. Then you reflect on the failure, then you will do your homework, and then you move on to help company be a better company. Thank you. That's been quite motivating. And it was like myself when I was younger. Question. Sometimes Ahmed could lack competence and he just pokes his nose into things he doesn't know a thing about. Yes, in the first company, that was the case. He wasn't skilled enough and he lacked competence. How can we understand an Ahmed as incompetent and give him the walking papers? Because an incompetent person can break down the processes and can split the team, and he can do a whole lot of damage. Because if he says, let's do things faster, it doesn't work. Yes, well, those are HR things. We have to have 360 performance review. If you don't have it in the company, then the company doesn't have someone who could trace this. Then sorry, it's your fault. This is going to happen. Hi, thank you for your presentation. What if there are such two, Ahmed, two Slayer Interactives? What should they do? How can they interact? There's a guy who wants to do this, another guy wants to do a different thing. Well, feel very sorry for you. And secondly, you need to see where those two guys are looking. Well, they need to come up with a plan that they would follow, and then look at the outcome, because you need to make money, first of all. If your plan helps make money, that's the plan we're going to pick. Maybe they both are making money. Well, this can happen. But you need to strike a deal, and you need to do something to make it a win-win. You can try both and pick this or that. Anything else? Or it can come to blows and the dagger is drawn. A question I asked in the who's a hero? I missed the beginning. Yeah, you missed the beginning. Let's come back. Whatever I said is fiction. Remember, all events are pure coincidences. Ahmed is the hero. He has a fiery character, and he is the central character. If you need, if you're asking if a company needs a hero, then a hero would be someone who would introduce changes, become a catalyst of success. Someone is just one person that sent the groundswell across the entire company, the opinion lead that helps company become a success. He said, time to leave. Why did he leave? In the second company, he left because had he didn't see a way of developing. It could have taken 3 hours, telling you. In the second company, he left because it didn't work for him, and he can see where he could grow. In the third company, it's just a format. He had to summarize those results, and therefore, but it looks like what you're saying, he had personal motives and he didn't even try to understand the company. And my final question, therefore, maybe it's Ahmed's fault. He's picking the wrong company. Exactly so. When selecting the company, when he's leaving, it's his fault. That's Ahmed. He picked the wrong company. But let us be fair and square. Sometimes we lie to one another during the interview. Company is lying, and the man, his employee, is lying. Not with our company. Well, we have different experiences. Thank you for this story. I would like to move on along the same lines. Maybe I don't completely agree with it. He said Ahmed tried to change the company and was looking for this question whether this company needs a hero. So what do you think? Can you answer this question? Who needs what company, what kind of person a company needs unless you have experience? I mean, you just show up as a member of personnel. Do you have enough competence to know that this company should be changed? How do you know? He doesn't have a competence to make such a conclusion. You need to have managerial skills, but things may differ. This is fiction. We dropped a lot of details because we lack time. You have to understand your responsibility area. He worked with testing in the first company. He was covering the results. He didn't have competency. He had failures in the company. Educated him, but it also worked. There must be a person who would not allow people like Ahmed to direct the company because he can move either way. And also the second question, Ahmed talked to people, talked to manager, didn't work, and he means that the company not ready for change. But what if he was not able to talk properly to the manager, to deal with it? Maybe how did he see that? It's a very good comment. It's not always that he could get a deal with them. Maybe he could get a deal with in the second company, but it didn't work for him. He couldn't. One second case, it didn't work for him in the second company, and this is why he left. It just simply didn't work. So you can't be sure. Maybe the company was ready to change. It's just that Ahmed wasn't quite capable of doing this. They were looking through Ahmed's eyes. Thank you. I have this impression. I wasn't here, missed the beginning. My question could be strange. Ahmed is just parvenu, who's actually an upstart who's looking for different companies and find a good spot for him. It's not about what the company needs. What is Ahmed? Maybe he's looking for such company. He's an upstart.
You do have a point. Let's remember we are limited in time and we can't pack everything in it. I told you, people like Ahmed are a pesky problem. They come in, they want to change everything, and then they run away. This is a story about people of this ilk. The purpose of my presentation is to give a message to about such people. What happens, what needs to be done. Of course, we are not able to change people, at least today. Did I get it right that in the first company there were 150,000 auto tests? That's right? So how big a deal was auto testing? And how did you support them? What was the stack? What was language? I mean, 150,000. Why do you need to spend that much? And what do as a manual tester do to address this? That's right, there were 150,000 tests. Ahmed wanted to fix that, but he couldn't. He wasn't successful. In response to your first question and about number of auto testers, 4. And I think it took them a total of 5 years to process all of that. And it has been a black box for manual testers all along. They would let them in, receive reports, and would dissect those reports. Did it help or hinder? It hindered mostly. I think 150 tests, you can just delete them one by one. About the superhero, my experience suggests that a person needs to be 5 years plus experience, have a lead position, and have accumulated a great deal of lead competences. I hardly imagine a situation when what you describe would work. I mean, why would a team lead would request that we do this or that? Now, what are you driving at? At what time do you think, at what point do you no, what are the qualities that this superhero should possess? What does he or she need to have to change it, keep the mic in the area? It's important to be aware of the company goals and objectives. I think you exclude a situation where companies hire their first tester when they don't know what they actually want. But it's assumed that this is a more or less experienced and well-established companies. Processes are in place, but they are haywired, so they need some cleaning up. So let's come back to a question. What are the qualities that a person needs to have to be hired as a sort of battery? Or power cells. If a company wants to find someone who is interested, they need to look at their experience, technical skill sets, number of languages, programming languages that they are capable of using. Look at their personality, because if you make wrong choice, this battery would get into trouble with all the other employees. So it appears that the first contact with HR becomes a matter of importance. HR managers have left, unfortunately. We are running out of time. Please, one final question. Did we look at Ahmed as someone who comes in with no experience into his first IT company? No, no, no. I had told you that he had previous IT experience. He attended training courses, and it is at his first company where he decided to test himself as a first lead. What was the best question? It's your call.